Hello, my name is Tabs and welcome to episode 103 of the Grove podcast. Now, hope you're all doing well and enjoying the off season and not driving yourself crazy with all the rumours and the spending being done by other clubs. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So in today's pod, we'll discuss transfers. But not only that, we'll have a bit of a chat. But not only that, we're going to be looking at squad depth, our squad as a whole, who we should keep, who should we sell, who's and who we should bring in and stuff like that. Just to do a bit of a depth chart on the squad and just see the state of that and see where the potential gaps are and so on. And I'm not doing this alone, thankfully. Otherwise, that'd be quite a sad podcast. So, and yeah, sorry, joining me today to get into all of that is Kuziva. How are you doing? And how's your transfer head loss? And is it Berta out yet?
103 episodes is crazy, FYI. Shout outs to you guys and me, I guess. I'm doing all right. Thanks, Tab. Honestly, I've been relatively calm through all of this. I know the reality is I can't control the transfer market. I know part of football is enjoying the transfer market, but I can't control it. So I'm not going to fall into that mayhem of stressing about every rumor. There's no head loss here. And I know we're looking at City signing 5 players and Liverpool doing what they're doing. But I know my team, right? So I manage my expectations.
Very good. Actually, I was going to say something because you took your hat off, and I was going to say something about tearing your hair out, but then I don't know. That might have a. I wouldn't want to tell people about your.
Okay, you can say it, Tabs. I'm playing.
You're about as hirsute as I am. There we go. And this is why we wear caps all the time.
This is why we wear caps. Now you know.
There we go. All right, actually. So talking about transfer. Actually, I was going to ask you: Do you actually enjoy the transfer window, the off season, the rumours, the Orm bombs, the absolute dross being churned out by other outlets like Talk Sport and various ITKs or I don't know, what's the acronym? We'll have no fucking idea. So the HNFIs. There we
go. Look, I do enjoy it. There are dopamine hits when you see an Ombom or Sammy Mark Bell. I do enjoy that, but then there's also the flip side of seeing other teams, doing what they're doing. But as I said earlier, I manage my expectations. I can't control this. When I don't enjoy it is post it's closed, like when it's closed and we've signed Sterling. That's when I absolutely hate it. But I mean, we were all here when we signed Ozo on deadline day, so I will continue hoping until I guess the day I die. And I always say this as fans, that's all we can really give the team. Hope.
Absolutely. So let's start off with a couple of easy ones. Well, actually, apparently we're looking at three forwards, which would be nice across the front line. And first off, we have Sesko, which seems to be the priority. Talks ongoing. Apparently, Leipzig are in desperate need of the cash. That seeing as they're out of the Champions League, and but they seem to be holding out. They're talking about like a game of chicken, but it's just negotiation. They want the maximum. We want to pay. It's sort of like it's just standard negotiations and yeah, look, they're protecting him because they didn't let him play, or they didn't want him to play for, I think it's Slovenia at the weekend. So it looks like that's where our eggs the basket in which our eggs are in, or whatever the analogy is. So actually, so where are you on I mean, and also just a couple of stats. Apparently he's 6'5", and apparently he is as fast as Mbappe, which is not too bad. He can hit the ball pretty hard. So for me, I'm pretty pleased about this one. Should it happen, where are you on the Sesko versus Gyökeres versus another debate?
So I went through a period when I watched the videos and then I was like, this is not helpful at all. I need to watch full games. I do not have time to watch full games. I could watch an analysis video, not just a comp. So I got cognitive overload from all of that, and I just got over it. And I said, whatever these guys decide will be the best plan. Like, my job is to be a program manager for a global team. I'm good at my job. No one comes to me and says, hey, please do this. I'm not going to go to the guys there who literally their day job every single day is who are the best players for this team given this context. So I know it's not helpful, but look, I like
Yeah.
Sesko. I like the fact that he plays in the Bundesliga. I like the fact that he's taller than me. Um, he
Which is some doing, folks.
he's got a really good shot conversion rate. I think it's like 23.3% or something ridiculous like that. And I mean, it's a striker. Like, we haven't had a proper striker since Aubameyang. So I'm excited to have someone of that profile in the front. And
Yeah.
I know there's the questions around, is he going to bench Kai? Kai, what? I don't care. That's the manager's job. Like, let's just get a striker in. Let's just
Yeah.
get a striker in.
Yeah, no, I agree. But yeah, I think I've fallen in the Sesko camp. I was seesawing for a while, but yeah, definitely ended in that camp. So fingers crossed. And now with that, should we just pay the money and just get it done? I mean, this is where maybe Arsenal fans get a bit frustrated, or maybe it's because we think it's a bit too simplistic. Is it? Again, when you look at other teams, and again, if you actually see who signed who, it's not as many as people think. It's all still stories. But do you think? Yeah, is it worth quibbling over 10 million? Should we just bite the bullet, or do you think actually, because the amount of business we've got to do this summer, we do need to still have a level of negotiation, and I guess maybe you don't want to always be seen as an easy target.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of work to do this off season. I mean, you mentioned it earlier. We are looking at three forwards, which is, I was surprised when I read that news. Was it last week? So it means that we do need to negotiate, and also when you're, you know, buying a football player, you don't just drop the money. Like, not even City does that. City, I'm pretty sure, also negotiate. Yes, they do give deals under the table and then 115, charges and so on. But you can't just say, here's your money, let's go. So I think we need to be smart about how we are spending, especially with our aspirations to have a right wing come in and also a backup for Saka, which is what they're saying in the streets.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, well, anyway, it seems to be that's where we're going, and fingers crossed it all works out sooner rather than later. So, otherwise, we're looking at wide forwards. I think we do want someone out left. To complement Martinelli, upgrade on Martinelli, however you see on that. And we were looking at Sane for a while, which he's now gone to Moneybags Galatasaray. I still can't work out how that is, but taking his 400, 500k a week or whatever it is, on a free transfer. So I don't know how I felt about that one. I felt like if he came as our third option, I think with his experience as a backup for a backup, and I wouldn't have been not that bothered. But if he was like our primary wing option, then that would have been a bit worrying, given his age, back end of his career. What's his motivation like? Is he there for the money? We've been burnt before with Willian and Sterling, so it would have been interesting, but he would have been him plus two others. But he's gone, and I'm not too worried. The one that excites, I think, is the rumours around Rodrygo, and that's the one that seems to be getting everyone's interest. And the only couple of issues are that I think he wants to sort out his future after the Club World Cup, and obviously got Alonso as a new manager. Would you take Rodrygo? Stupid question.
It is a stupid question. Let me chat on Sane. So
Okay.
I feel
Sure.
like we possibly dodged a bullet. I think he still has the quality. He scored 8 goals last season, had 11 assists, 2.5 key passes. So he played a big part in, I mean, I was going to say a big part in Bayern Munich winning the league, but obviously they're going to win the league.
I could have played a big part in Bayern Munich winning the league.
But also the demands are nuts. 50 million pounds is absolutely ridiculous for a player where he's at, and I think that, yeah, as you said, like, we need to be smart about how we're spending our money and put it in the right places. Rodrygo, I mean, as Fabrizio said it, he is the dream target, right? And I feel like this is exactly what we need. Sesko is going to grow into the team. What is he, 21, 22? He's still a youngster.
22. He's
Going to
22.
grow.
He just turned 22 the other week, I think. Yeah.
All right. So he's going to grow into the team and so on. But like, Rodrygo is and ridiculous talent. He's a great dribbler. I mean, when he needs to, he can also like track back. He's just, I think those are the signings that we need to be signing when we want to compete with the best of the best. If we're going to have Saka on the one side, we need a like for like on the other side, which goes back to, I don't know, a topic we might speak about later, like in terms of depth. You are not going to find a Saka replacement because it's Saka, right?
Yeah.
But you can find a Martinelli replacement. You can find a Trossard replacement, and that's how I feel Rodrygo is. So this seems like a market opportunity. I hope that he's not, I don't know, charmed by Javi. I feel like Javi and all those Spanish guys can whisper sweet things, and he might just stick around and fight for his place. But also, dude, there's Vinicius Junior, Mbappe, and who's on the other side? I'm blank.
I don't know. I think they've just brought someone in from Argentina. I think they've got a couple of new players or other people. So
Okay.
I don't know. But there is competition there. I mean, also he wants to play left.
Yeah.
They put him out on the right. The only concern is that this going to be our summer saga. So he. Unlike the majority of people, he's actually interested in the Club World Cup. Would Real Madrid want to lose him before the Club World Cup? So it could be a bit of a drama, and it could be, you play in the Club World Cup, then you need to have a bit of a rest, and then you need to think about it, and then all of a sudden you're into August. Do we want to get a player who's flogged himself to death again and played in this nonsense tournament? Do we want to wait for him and it still might not happen and stuff like that? Or, is it worth, if we've done all our business, is it worth waiting? Is he that good that he's worth waiting for? Or if someone like Semenyo is readily available, would you say, yeah, it'd be nice, but we need to get our squad sorted from the get-go?
I think that is worth waiting for. I would like to believe that those guys who are doing this job every day have a list of players that feel like, if this doesn't work out, this is our plan B, plan C, plan X. So I feel like we should definitely wait for an opportunity like this. These opportunities, I mean, as I said, it's a market opportunity. Market opportunities aren't cut and dry, right?
Yeah.
Low key, it was kind of for Liverpool and Birds, but besides that, like it's not cut and dry. So I personally think, I don't know, where's your mind at regarding that? I get the concerns, but like, where's your mind at?
Yeah, these summer drama, it just feels, yeah, it's tough to say. Is because people like this, it's we do want an upgrade here, and people are talking about him having like the impact like Alexis Sanchez did when he joined the team. He comes in, has a bit more maturity in the team. He's a bit more of a top dog, whereas in Real Madrid, he's one of many, or he's like, whatever, low down the pecking order. He's not a Galactico, even though they don't really have that anymore. So he comes into our team, and all of a sudden he's like, a big dog in the team, and maybe that lifts him up. So it depends if he wants. Real Madrid is still a massive draw, and so on like that. So it depends what he wants to do his own career.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough one. But again, I would happily wait it out because in this role we can still have the first couple of games of the season if we still got Martinelli and Trossard, and that normally happens anyway. Some of these players don't always go straight in, so that's not too much of a concern. And also, we're talking about fresh, fit players, hopefully. So I wouldn't be too concerned, but we would have to have, as you said, these people must know what they're doing. So if it doesn't come off, then we can pivot properly.
Yeah.
And not sign Sterling back.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I don't know. Maybe we'd rather have Sterling. Well, actually, there's already a Sterling in the club, so maybe we just promote him. So there we go. So look, fingers crossed on that one. That does sound exciting, and I think that one might drag on, as they say. The other one that's been on, off, depending on which country you're in, Zubimendi. So I think it's all done, bar the photo and the usual picture leaning over with a hand on the shoulder saying you're not going anywhere. So yeah, are you concerned, or are you pretty much in the this one's done? It's just we're just helping Sociedad out with their finances.
I know you know the answer of that question, but I'll say it anyways. I'm not concerned. all the reputable journalists, tier one, tier zero, three of them actually have said the exact same thing. I think we're fine. I don't know why people are freaking out around the specific point here. Um, it helps so much that he is from the same region as Arteta. Like, I think that's what people are kind of missing while they're freaking out. I know last year Liverpool, it was really close and then it didn't happen. But also, we've been working on Zubimendi for a while, and he probably said, let me not go to these guys because I want to, be loyal to the people that have been core to me, that know me. And just a stupid example, like when I started working at where I'm at now, one of my colleagues is from a city that I went to school, and we are very different people, but we instantly aligned because of that, and I feel like that plays a big part. I think that plays a very big role in just allegiance. And also, we know he's a loyal guy. He's been at Sociedad for a while. So I'm not worried. I'm really excited. I've seen a lot of him play the last year and a half, and I know people have worries about him, but he's also been maturing these last couple of years, which has been exciting. I feel like he's going to be a great replacement for TP5, as we start phasing him out.
Yeah.
But now I am not worried.
Yeah.
Are you maybe?
No, but there's always that nagging doubt, until, as I said, we got the photo with him holding the shirt and not one done by AI. There's always that anything can happen, but it seems like there are contractual agreements there. It's just all done by the shouting. But again, contracts can be broken, something can happen. But no, I think we're done on this one, and it should be good. And look, I think, well, if people were trying to get their football fix, they would have watched some of the Nations League games over the last week. And he's put in scored a goal. Nice partnership with Marino. There we go. There with the setting up a goal. So yeah, he looks like he'll be a great addition, and people are seeing him for what he is. So yeah, that should be done. Another one that's done but not done is Kepa the keeper. Which is it seems to me a sensible signing. 5 mil, and primarily it means we can avoid goalkeeping drama for at least a year, because I think ever since Mope took out Leno and Martinez became our goalkeeper, I think back in 2020, it's been a bit of a goalkeeping merry-go-round with one thing after another with say Leno, Martinez, Ramsdale, Raya, and then chasing Juan Garcia last summer, and then
Yeah.
ending up with Neto. So I think this ticks a lot of boxes. So just again needs just want to get it done, and we can forget about it. And then what I find is odd is not to say odd. He's just come from a season, played the whole season for Bournemouth. Interesting, he comes along and he's happy to be second choice.
I
Any thoughts?
mean, it's second choice in the Champions League, right? So, and I feel like I think he genuinely believes that he can become that number one again. He moved to Chelsea for what, like 70 million.
Yeah,
It's
still
outrageous.
still the most expensive goalkeeper.
Absolutely outrageous. I believe that there was money laundering, but we'll leave it. So I
Chelsea
think
money laundering, dodgy dealer. No.
selling hotels. What are you talking about? I think that it's an interesting move for him, but I believe he thinks he's got it. And if someone believes in themselves like that, then fuck it, come through, dude,
Yeah,
and try replace the Golden Glove reigning champ.
yeah,
I'm not mad about that, and I think
yeah.
the thing about football also is you a player like that is one bad injury away from being a starter. Like what happened.
Well, this is what I think. We've, I mean, goalkeeper. Well, yeah. I'm not saying we've been lucky with Ray not being injured, but he's fortunately, not come down like lots of our other players,
Yeah,
and he is the one, I think, irreplaceable player in our team. Everyone's got it may not be great and all the rest of it, but he is the one player,
yeah,
and he's so tactically important to what we do. The partnership with Saliba and Gabriel, the way he starts the attacks, his positioning, his goalkeeping ability. He's so important to the team beyond just goalkeeping that if he was to go down, yeah, we need. I think that's why they were looking at Juan Garcia, because
Yeah.
he's analogous to Raya, and would be number one in 2-3 years time, whatever. So I think we need. I think Kepa may not be on the same level, but the fear factor is not the same. Should we have, Neto in goal, or Stepford, or Porter in goal? So I think it. I think for 5 million, quick, get it done. I think he wants to come. We pay him a bit of money extra. I think he wants to be in and around London. So I think, yeah, that's fine.
And
He'll
over
play
and
the
above
cup
that,
games. So yeah,
yeah, over and above that,
yeah,
it's not we're not spending 25 million, especially when we're
no,
trying to sign three
mm,
attackers. Like, let's
yeah,
save money where we can.
yeah.
Possibly this could be a really good market opportunity.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. So let's hope again. Hopefully, we see the picture, and we move on. So there was one interesting development today, which I was really surprised to hear about. Was about Mark Grahey, Crystal Palace, last year of his contract. Uh, I mean, it'd be great to have in the club, another top quality defender. You can't have too many, too much talent. Um, but why would you come to Arsenal when you know ahead of you is the best defensive partnership in the world?
Because he saw someone tear his hamstring, and and then Kiwi was stood up, and like people were like, "Holy shit, this who's this guy? He's been here for the last 2-3 seasons." But we saw him on the bigger stage doing really well against some of the best players in the world. Um, So maybe that's what Gay sees. Also, I haven't seen this news. I've been busy in
Okay.
workshops all day.
Yeah.
Which publication did it come from? Just funny.
I've heard it from a number of, either a couple of podcasts, but also just a couple of articles online. I did a bit of a search, so it's definitely a thing. How much of a thing? Who knows? But yeah, but again, it'll be interesting how much. But again, last year the contract, Palace, do they, that they're not in a that means they're not in the strongest of positions.
Yeah,
I'm surprised Newcastle aren't back in for him, but then again, I'd rather be a second choice at Arsenal than first choice at Newcastle. But
absolutely.
but that's me. So, but yeah, let's see where that goes. And again, competition, squad depth. The only thing is, I think he can only play centre back. He's not like one of these ones that can play on a right back or left back. So let's see. So
Just a
let's
quick
see.
one, perhaps. Have you
Yeah.
seen the Jarrell Hato links like start creeping up again?
No, I haven't seen that. I know he was talked about like a year or so ago, and stuff like that. So I know he's the youngster from Ajax, isn't he? Like
Right.
sort of
It,
centre back, left sided centre back, left back type role.
yeah,
Yeah.
it seems like they've started creeping up again.
Okay.
Which would make sense. I do wonder if us looking at players like this is a succession plan.
Yeah.
I know Gabriel just signed,
Mm.
and I know Saliba says he's keen to stick around, but we also need to be smart
Mm.
about having a plan after, or not after, a plan while these guys are being
Yeah.
problematic. You don't want
Yeah.
to be in a situation where you now have to buy after someone is gone, because it
Yeah.
puts you in a worse position in
Mm.
terms of negotiating.
Mm. Yeah.
So
But well on that, and you mentioned it now. So the biggest signing we've made of the transfer window so far is Big G Gabriel. He's signed a extension
that's
to his contract. I think for 4 years now, bump in pay, which is great to see. I mean, before he got injured, I think he would have been our player of the season. He was like a cheerleader on the pitch, scoring goals, but just such a passionate player. So, and everyone loves him, and he's got the best chant at the club. So yeah, so that's great, and hopefully others now follow suit. As I think, as you said, Saliba's interested. He's the one that we're not too sure. Saka seems though it's just not an issue; it's just a matter of time. But yeah, it'll be interesting if the Grahy stuff is true. How Saliba would is Gray right side or left side? I'm not too sure.
I think his right side.
Right side. Okay, so yeah, it'll be interesting what Saliba would make of that. But there we go.
I'm
So
lying.
yeah, but
Left sided. Sorry, he's a
oh, is
left.
he left sided? So then he would be covered for Gabriel. So that would be, yeah. That, I guess it depends on what we do with Kivior, and yeah. But so yeah, let's see. But yeah, you're right. And based on our pod last week when we were talking about injuries and stuff. There's a massive chance of re-injury when you've had these big injuries that require surgery. So
Yeah.
maybe it's sensible squad planning, which makes the change. It just all sounds very expensive, which it's not my money, so why should I care?
Exactly.
But then again, if you've got a limited budget and then we'll see. But yeah, so great to see Gabriel sign. And again, hopefully, it's the domino effect that brings the others in as well. So, and then there's all the business the other teams are or aren't doing. Then there was, so I think it was announced last night, announced but not officially. Verts for 150 million euros to Liverpool with a package I think worth over 200 million over 5 years, which includes wages. That's just is he that good? Is he that much of a game changer? I don't know. I know he's good, but that's a shitload of money, and you've got to be performing week in, week out, and justifying that because I'm sure you can get as much output for half the price.
Look, I mentioned it earlier, and yeah, perfect. That's a succession plan. Salah is probably out in 2 years, either going to the States or Saudi. You don't replace a Salah the season Salah leaves. You replace him before. That's how I see that whole situation, right? How Liverpool played last season, like Salah, you are free, do what you need to do, have a great time. And I have a feeling that when he eventually leaves, Virts will be that player for Liverpool. So if Saka had to go to Madrid, for example, we need, like, in the next 2 years, if we know that he's retiring, whatever the case is, we need to be figuring out that plan now. Salah had arguably the best season that most players have ever had in a Premier League campaign. Um, you don't fuck around with that. Like, you need to there needs to be a good succession plan, and this is what they're doing. And Liverpool hasn't really been good at that. When Mane
No,
left, they tried to cheap out with Luis Diaz. Firmino was phenomenal. Cheap out with Nunez. And they learned, they got burnt. Obviously, Slot came in and was like, we aren't playing those games. And he's managed to strong arm his bosses to say we need to make a plan now before it's a problem. So
makes sense.
I think it makes complete sense.
Yeah, and then they're also looking at Frimpong and Kirkes, left side, right side of defence.
Yeah,
Even though I'm not sure how much of a defender Frimpong is.
yeah, exactly.
Uh,
He's a right wing back, right?
yeah,
So
he's a wing back, so yeah,
yeah,
that'll be interesting to see. But they seem to be making plans again. But that's a lot of money there. Obviously, the player, he doesn't decide it, but yeah, big expectations. So let's see. And then City again, they just dropped 200 million in the winter. No one bats another eyelid. They're dropping another 200 million now. They're linked to Naipan, who we were linked to. And look, they're getting their business done now because of the Club World Cup. They want these players
yeah.
to maybe participate and stuff like that. Was it Reinders, Cherky? Cherky they got cheap, but then again, I think I no, but I think he's no De Bruyne. I think there are maybe issues with the amount of effort he puts in, his fitness and stuff like that. So I think on the ball he can create and he can do a good job, but is he an all round player? Can he fit in a system? Who knows? They also got Ait Nouri, yeah, decent left back. Why not? Um, so yeah, but yeah, they just drop money, and for me with City, they can do that because if they make a mistake, they can absorb it so easily. We make a £50 million mistake with fucked for a couple of seasons or,
Yeah,
or whatever. So
yeah.
so they're happy just to scattergun approach and so on, and it just doesn't happen. And as we were discussing on the group today, or I've avoided it to be honest most of the afternoon was just like City and their charges. So they're either incredibly confident that jack shit's going to happen, which it seems that way, or these players have all these clauses, or the only worst thing that happened is a transfer ban, so they've got all their players in now. I don't know. Where do you stand on all this City rubbish?
Yeah, I feel sorry for our fan base who, you know, cry about City and their transfer business. We are not in the same WhatsApp group. City is owned by a state. They're owned by big oil, essentially, right?
Yeah.
When they set up this club and the organization, there was a clear plan, in terms of like the structure, the technical directors, the football directors, and so on. And they've always been very efficient. And
Mm-hmm.
again, maybe they're efficient because there are dealings under the table, probably. But I'm not surprised by them doing what they're doing. Like, this is what they have to do. But over and above that, they have some older players, right? They have some key players missing. They lost Mahrez, they didn't replace him. KDB is gone now. Bernardo Silva is a few years older. So it seems like they are going through a transition of sorts to make sure that they don't get left behind. And again, I hope I don't repeat it, but you don't replace players. It's happened with KDB, but you don't replace players after they've left. You try your best to do it, before or as they leave, so you can make sure that there's continuation. And besides the money and the charges, they have a good organization. It's a good
They are well run.
Yeah.
But they can afford to.
They can
But they
afford
can
to.
they can afford to be, and they can afford to make mistakes. And it's just, I don't know. It's just a bit galling. It's just sort of like elephant in the room type stuff, and no one cares. A bit like how Chelsea operate and stuff like that. It's just look, all clubs are, even Arsenal. We're not squeaky clean. We got a billionaire that owns us and things like that. But I guess there's the same with Liverpool. But I guess there's a way to try and run a club versus just the way these clubs do it, and maybe they do it because they know they can get away with it. So that means the administration is not strong enough to deal with it, and people say, well, if you can't beat them, join them, sort of thing. But I wouldn't want to be associated with that sort of stuff, even if you're winning stuff. I wouldn't want it. Some fans would, and good luck to that. But not me. But it's just a bit galling to see. And again, Chelsea. How many wingers does a club need? And they just dispose of players. They call it their assets. That's what Todd Bowley said. They're not human beings. No, but that's one thing. Why do players go there? That's what I don't get. Why do players? What is it about Chelsea's left wing or right wing that's so attractive? Now they're looking at Gittins.
Yeah.
What is it about? I don't get the attraction. Money.
Money in London, young money, and being in London. It makes no sense. But that's the world we live in. And as you said, we are also owned by billionaires, but they don't move the way that these other billionaires move. Actually, in the States, our billionaire will try his best to use the state to pay for things. Like where you can find a saving, he'll absolutely do it. Whereas these guys have essentially unlimited funds, big oil. What can you do?
It's nuts. But there we go. As I said, what can we do? What other clubs do? They've got to bring them in. They've got to make a team. Just because you buy a load of good players doesn't mean you can get them to gel and make a team. So let's see what happens there, and can worry about that at the end of the season. But so far, and look, it's only been 10 days. It's now shut for a few days. Opens again on Monday. So we can all sort of relax and then lose our minds come Monday again. So there we go. It's the ups and downs of it, and look, as I said, a bit like we were talking about last week on the injuries. The injuries pod that we did was like the medics are all over this. We are all over this. Now there is one thing actually. What I do find interesting, so like the Zubimendi deal or like Sesko, we spent like 2 years working on these deals. I don't get the impression that other clubs do that. They say, "Oh, I want that player. Let's go and buy him." So I find it a bit odd the way. I don't know. Is that a good approach? We it looks like we work so hard on some of these deals, but maybe that's because we know Arsenal Football Club. I can't imagine that Man City have spent 2 years chasing Ryan Cherky or Todd Bowley's been watching videos of Gittins for the last 2 years, and even then before when he had youth football and all the rest of it. I know, but I feel like, I don't know. It's maybe, I don't know if that's a good thing or it's a bad thing, but I don't know. Is that are are we too slow? Are we too particular? Too careful? Don't know.
I think it's when you look at City, and I do know that City wanted Verts last season to replace KDB,
Okay.
and you said no, right? So I feel like they probably do some work, and then just throw the money and money over the table, money under the table. Chelsea, it honestly just feels like a Hail Mary. Oh, is this who these guys want? Yeah, let's sign him. Let's sign him. Is this who Brighton wants? Let's wait for him to go to Brighton and then spend 100 million. So that's how I feel about City, Chelsea. For us, it kind of feels like an onboarding process, which is good, right? In the sense that when these guys come through, they are known by the club, they're known by the players, they're known by the manager. Like the manager's spoken to you, he's made you understand how are you going to fit into his team. I feel like besides the fact that we can't spend money like City and Chelsea, I feel like there is an element of us being more intentional about how we are buying players. And I don't hate it because look at the players we have.
Yeah.
Honestly, look at the players we have. Yes, Sterling, we ignore Sterling. We won't ignore young Sterling. But everyone else, Calafiori, Timber, Rice, these are players that have come through and quite literally, they all fit in like a glove. And that's how I see it. I could be wrong, but
No. I was going to say they're all nice as well. Nice.
yeah.
Yeah, they all seem like good guys, don't they? There's no other teams may think differently, but there are no arseholes in the team.
Yeah.
They all see, you might like again, you might wind some people up and all the rest of it, but that's fandom and all the rest of it. But there are no real see you next Tuesdays. He's all right. That sort of thing, which again I like. So yeah, I guess it's our USP is we're treating it a bit like a family. We really want you. We look after you. We care for you. We put in the effort. You make you feel wanted, and I think for a lot of these egos that play football, that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Until someone doubles your wages and said, yeah, they want me a little bit more with their money. Yeah, how much do you want me? Oh, okay. But yeah, I feel it's part of who you are, and we don't want to be bringing in what we did in the past. Like again, not saying Mavericks, but and maybe this is part of it though. Maybe because we're trying to be too nice, then we do miss out on certain players. So does that mean maybe Arteta needs to learn how to manage certain characters who maybe are not
Yeah.
toeing the line so much? Maybe not so inclusive or part of that, but what they do on the pitch will transform you. So it's maybe that's part of his development. Saying maybe he has to embrace that uneasiness and what that brings. But it's difficult because as soon as you do it and it goes wrong, then so our risk averse nature I think comes through, and even in our transfer dealings.
Yeah. No, that's true.
Yeah, which sounds odd when you're spending like 2 years ago $1 million on Declan Rice, but that was no risk. That wasn't risk. 100 million Declan Rice, easy, But it feels like we're very, as you say, we're very careful with doing what we're doing. We're informed and we don't rush it. But yeah, let's just see anyway. Let's see. So right, that's transfers done with. Next, squad depth. So yeah, I took a look at our squad and the various positions and just wanted to sort of have a look and see where the potential gaps were, where we've talked a bit about how we can upgrade or and so on, just to get a bit of an assessment of where we are. But before we do that, what to you is, what does it mean to have squad depth? What is good squad depth? Is it just literally numbers, or is it about having particular players in particular positions, or is it more nuanced than that?
So for me, squad depth has evolved into beyond just having two players per position, but having versatile players who can fit into a lot of different tactics within any game state. And it's clear that those are the type of players that we're trying to buy for each phase of our teams. Saka is now kind of not all. He's a left. A right wing, 100%. But he's also kind of becoming like an inside forward. In some situations where we need him to score. Bad example, but when you look at the profiles of the players we're looking at, that's aligned to my understanding of squad depth. Having just versatile players who can play multiple roles in any part of that game state in a team. Calafiori playing striker, like we've seen that once or twice when our left back is in the attacking third in the center, and not because we are disjointed, but because he can do that, right? So I think it's a good way to just keep things ticking. But then there are the drawbacks of if they're not in that system, then what? But right now they're in the system, and that's all that matters. Yeah, that's how I see game dev. I mean,
Yeah, no, yeah. I think you're right. It has evolved from just numbers. It's not just a numbers game, bodies, whatever. Because I think there's quite a couple of bits. I like your point about flexibility versus versatility. So you can play more than one position. So that is depth. It may be one player, but you can play like Tomiyasu was the best squad player you could ever have if he stayed fit, because he could play all across the back line, and that is squad depth. Again, you have players that can fit the system, but also then maybe come along and do something different. So we need to change things up a bit. So there's that tactical flexibility in there, and it's having that depth of talent. Especially in key positions, So here's the balance, and it's like the balance is that you've got to marry up. Say like you got youth players, you've got to give them a pathway to come in. So you like of Waneri, even now thinking of Max Dowman. So when we're buying players, that's why I think who was it we were looking at, like that Greek guy we were looking at, 40 million for 40 million. Okay, it would have been 40 million over 40 years. So but for an 18-year-old, or what does that say for Waneri? And things like that. So yes, you want to do these things because you want the depth. You want to, as you say, succession plan. But then again, what about your own youth setup? So that's challenging. And then, then also, how much drop off do you want? So you go. We were a bit concerned when Kivior came in, but then you give him a few games, and actually, yes, missing Gabriel was a big miss, but also Kivior played really well. So how do you manage that? Player motivation, role clarity, rotation balance, and all the rest of it. So I think it's a real, we again, every everyone watches football as if they're playing FIFA or if they're playing Football Manager and all the rest of it. And unfortunately, it's not as simple as that. And and so whenever we talk about squad depth, and I think Arteta touched on it. Again, also, how much can you mitigate? Yes, you can have numbers. You can have 30 players. Well, you can have a maximum of 25. And that would have helped. And if we had the quality, that would have been great last year. But if you don't have those injuries and don't have that, then how do you manage players and their motivation? So it's a real tricky balancing act. I think as they say. So there we go. So looking here. So we're starting off with goalkeeper. So we have David Raya. I've said Tommy Setford, because I'm not putting in Jack Porter, who's I think he's still in infant school. Carl Hein has come back from on loan, and then I think we've got Kepa. So I think we'll have three keepers. I think Kepa joins you. Either Carl Hein or Tommy Setford goes off on loan, and I'm surprised we never looked at Carl Hein as being he's had a year away. He's the Estonian number one. I'm surprised we never looked at him as a replacement. But I think we seem to be, if we have Kepa, we're in good stead there. Now this is where it gets interesting, and I'm going to start at right back. So we have Ben White and Jurrien Timber. Then I've got different colours here that I showed you. So we've got Thomas Partey, Tomiyasu, and I chucked in Josh Nichols. Let's start the Thomas Partey discussion. How are your feelings on the discussions, which have quietened down, of potentially extending Partey's contract?
When I initially heard that we were looking at extending, I was disappointed. The club is moving like a business, as they are. So that is my 2 cents on that. They're moving like a business. This is their assets. They can't alienate their assets that has in the eye of the law has done. I mean, right now done nothing.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're moving like a business.
Yeah.
I don't like him at right back because we are really bad when Partey plays right back. So yeah, it's maybe we actually need a right back. Just looking at the options that we have,
Well,
Ben White and Yurin Timber.
yeah, we're looking at. So if you look at right centre back as well, we've got Saliba, Ben White. I think Jakob Kiwior can play there. Yurin Timber can play there. Tomiyasu, but he's not going to be around until God knows when. And I put in Guehi here, but So in terms of that right side, I'm with you. I think we need to move on from Thomas Partey. He's done a job. I think last year he would have peaked, and I think towards the end he was like reverting to the norm. I mean, still a great midfielder and all the rest of it, but I think it's time to move on. However, if we did not have him last year, we would have been relying on the likes of Josh Nichols, who
Yeah,
also got injured, to play right back, because there were times when Ben White was
that's true.
buggered, Timber was buggered, Tomiyasu's buggered. Again, he did a job last year. I think he was our best midfielder for the first half of the season, but I think it's time to move on. But on the right side, again, we're basically reliant on three players on the right side: Saliba, Ben White, and Timber to cover those two positions. So I think this is why we're looking at a defender, and that's why I was thinking, well, surely we should be looking at a right-sided player who can
Mm,
play a right back and right centre back.
exactly.
Yeah. Then on the left-hand side, I think we seem to have a bit more strength there. So we got Gabriel, Calafiori, Kivior, Timber. I'll keep saying Tomiyasu in hope more than anything else. And then we've got Lewis Skelly and Timber again, Zinchenko and Tomiyasu. So actually, let me do, with Kivior and Zinchenko, are you sell this summer?
I am Zinchenko, yes. Kivio, no. I am a big advocate
You,
for Kivio, especially after he showed up the way he did. I think a lot of the opportunities that he got when he was starting off on the left side, which he
mm,
can play, but he's
yeah.
not, exceptional. He really showed his value there in that mid area. The thing is, we could make a lot of money from him. Um,
Yes, that's the one caveat. He's
yeah,
he's never going to be more
than he
peak.
is right now. And if we are trying to be better at business because we are terrible at selling players, maybe he's a market opportunity for us to sell.
Mm.
But then we just shouldn't spend more on the replacement, which is my issue. Yeah. Like, how
Yeah.
much what are they saying about yeah? Like, what are the
Well, I don't know, but he would be 50, 60, and you're getting Kivior for 40 maximum.
yeah?
Yeah, that's the thing. So yeah, you'd need to find someone younger. You're spending 20 million. You want to be making 15. You want to be spending 15, 20 less than you're making him. So it's a tough one. Whether there's usual rumors about Italy. He's played there in the past, and things like that. So and his wages won't be too high, and so on. So yeah, I think he's a real tough one. If a good sell is the one that when you have this sort of conversation that makes you feel uncomfortable, because no one's buying someone that you go, yeah, buy, unless it's unless there's something about the player. So you're right, this is where we need to be. This is where you got to be comfortable being uncomfortable. This type of thing, it's not the same with Zinchenko. Yes, sell him 10 million, whatever. He's on massive wages, so we're not going to be able to make a huge. We're not going to just get what you can from him, because the issue is going to be his wages. Yeah, he's going to be on 150, 170, I think per year. I think we've talked about this before. We take 100 grand a year, a week, for granted, but actually only the top X clubs can afford that money.
Yeah.
Everyone else is paying a lot less. So we've just got to take what we can for Zinchenko. I think Milan are looking at him. Yeah, AC Milan as a replacement for Hernandez. But yeah, Jaco Kivior, put it like this: if he stays, I'll be happy,
Yeah.
and if he goes and we make a decent amount of money, then I'm happy as well. Good luck to him. He's done a job, so I'll take it or leave it. And yeah, as for Tommy, I think the rumor is that we'll be back sometime November, December.
I hope.
But what's you look at what Ben White was like, when he came back. So yeah, you can't be relying on him. So I think we might have to buy someone in the defense, but I think it depends on sales. Because also you're looking at Ricardo Calafiori. Yeah, I hate to say he's injury prone, but he got injured a lot last season and suffered a lot. I think it was unfortunate. So again, we're relying on Calafiori, Timber still ACL, Ben White, surgery, Gabriel surgery. Yeah, the more I think about it, no, we're not selling Kivior.
uh,
Otherwise, we're fucked.
yeah, I just found out that Gay is actually 24. I had no idea he was still so young. Uh,
Yeah, good
that's
age.
interesting. That's a good age for a player
Yeah,
who's doing what he's doing right now.
yeah.
That's a good age.
Okay, so let's look at I think CDM, for want of a better word. So we got Party there, but we know we want Rid. No, we'd like to move on from Party. We got Declan Rice. I think the Zubimendi deal is there, but I also put in MLS here because maybe I'm trying to shoehorn something in, but we look light in that area. So if Party goes, we're left with Zubimendi
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Declan Rice, who are two very different players. Not to say that they wouldn't happen like that, and that's why I put MLS here as an option. I think he could evolve into an option there. I don't know. He looks prime for that position.
I
Don't
think.
know.
I mean, we saw him in the last like 2 games of the season. We
Mm,
saw him kind of slot in there and not coming from
mm,
the left back, but actually,
mm,
yeah, try I guess supports when we had no numbers. Um, so maybe that's the succession plan for that space, right? If shit hits the fan with Zubimendi or Declan Rice, dear God forbid, he could definitely be an option there. And
yeah.
I don't think it's crazy to try shoehorn someone like that. I mean, we spoke about
Mm,
versatility earlier, and
mm,
he's a great example of that, right?
yeah. Yeah. No, I think a lot of people like to. Oh, look, to be honest, he plays in midfield anyway. Whenever he plays left back, so maybe we lose something with him not
Yeah,
playing there. But I'm just saying. Otherwise, he looks light. Otherwise, he looks Bryce and Zubimendi. So maybe again, there's an opportunity there to get some youngster from France as a development opportunity in that position at CDM because it just looks a bit light with just Zubimendi and Rice in there. And especially when you look at other positions across the pitch. So we look at the left eight. We got Odegaard, and we knew this season. Well, saw this season that we needed extra bodies there. I put Ethan there. Trossard has sort of played there. Desperate in desperation. Zinchenko's played there when we wanted to rest players, and I'm not sure where Max Damon plays, but I think he's attacking midfielder. So I don't think he's on the front line. I think he's more of a deeper
yeah,
attacker. Yeah, and apparently he's going to be included in the squad next year. So we're going to have the Arsenal crash next season. Um, yeah, left eight. I'm going to discount Zinchenko again. Look at left eight, and yeah, do we need? And I think this is. Do we need more attacking talent there, or is Ethan going to sort of transition there? If we're looking at three forwards, right wing, left wing, centre forward. Don't know. It just looks a bit. Again, another one that looks a bit light.
yeah. It looks light, but I think the news around us wanting 3 attackers and one of those being a right wing
Hmm.
kind of cemented, or to me at least, that Arteta wants to have Ethan, be that deputy for Martin Odegaard.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we hope that Saka will continue, being as reliable as he was in terms of not getting injured. So he's locked, and I can't see Ethan coming in, to unlock that. So one of the out of the challenges that we had this season, with injuries, we saw Ethan, we saw what he could do, and I'm so excited for him coming on or growing next year. Like he's still so young. So I feel
Yeah,
like
forget he's only just turned 18.
just turned
Nuts.
18, and
Yeah,
he
just.
sometimes plays like a 20, 22, 23 year old. So I don't think we need to worry about that. I think we've got a succession plan, an internal succession plan there with Ethan Nwaneri and then Darwin. So
Yeah,
I think we should be fine. And I know you have Ethan as like the deputy for Saka right now because that's the current state.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I feel like we'll probably see him more come on for Odegaard than Saka,
yeah.
and Saka's deputy will be coming on or either swapping when we know we need to
Is
make that.
Reece Nelson. He's coming back from Fulham.
Oh yes, I've actually been to that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting where we see that. And look, with Max Dowman, well, look, and with Nathan, I think he also gave a good interview. I read sort of parts of it, and it was talking about like playing time and being involved a lot, then not coming a lot. And he seemed to come across really well. We seemed to think, oh, he must be pissed off and all the rest of it. He seemed to be accepting and seemed to be sort of quite mature in his thinking. So, and he talked about midfield rather than right wing. So I think that's where I
Mm.
think long term where he's looking to be. I mean, a very different type of player to Odegaard, but that's good and something different and again something different to introduce into the game later on should it be needed.
Just,
So
just on that
we
point,
see.
sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
I know I keep on shitting on Sterling, but one big valuable thing about Sterling was having an experienced black player who's gone through the media in the UK
Hmm.
around players like Ethan and Louis Skelly. I think
Yeah.
that's valuable, and hearing him, I watched the interview. Um,
Mm.
I think, yeah, I think we're good there. Sorry, I don't know why I said that, but I had
No,
to.
no, 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 no. I just think I've mentioned it before. I think when I think I can't remember we talked about it, but yeah, I've mentioned before. I think one of his leaving photos or the one he posted on social media, Sterling was with Ethan and Miles. So
Yeah,
I'm sure that from his unfortunate experience with the press and all the rest of it, he was able to talk them through this, be a bit of a provide some advice and stuff like that. So if that's all he did, then fantastic,
yeah.
good job. Good job, Raheem. So, and look, I might as well mention Leandro Trossard now because I said I put him as a backup left eight because he's played in that position, but I think he's played left eight, right eight, not across the front three. Would you? There's rumours of extending him or not extending, bumping up his wages, maybe even extending. Uh, would you keep him around or would you look to cash in?
I would keep him around. I think we need old heads. It's a very young team. You'd hope that next year he's a year older, a year more mature. He's realizing that like I'm one of the leaders. That's my hope, right? So
Mm.
I personally would keep him. I wasn't too mad about the money going up. I ask for a salary increase every year.
Yeah.
I can't Trossard ask for one.
No, absolutely. No. No, I'm happy, but then some people say, "Well, you signed a contract. That's what you're getting. Why should we give you some more?" But you've got to. This is all part of player management and stuff like that. So, yeah, I'm not too sure. I think he's a bit like Kivio. If we sell him, great, and we get some money for him, and if we don't, great, keep him. But he should be going down the pecking order, so he should be the third choice left wing, and he should be third choice everything.
Yeah.
Next year.
And if
Um,
if you want to keep him happy as third choice everything,
mm,
then give him the money.
yeah, give him some extra money. Sweeten the deal,
Yeah.
or sweeten lack of deal. On the right hand side, so right eight, we have Declan Rice, Mikel Merino, Kai Havertz, and I've put Max Dowman here, but literally that will only be for the um, Carabao Cup games. So again, it's always that interesting position. I think Declan Rice has really made that his own this season. He's turned it into something else, but he's very different to say Mikel Merino playing there or Kai Havertz playing there. And then we also talk about, well, this is where maybe we could have more creativity. So you chuck in an Eze there or something like that. So how do you feel about that right eight sort of trio?
Yeah, I think the right aid side is probably the most stacked in terms of really quality players.
Mm.
A creative Eze would be really dope, but then you would have a relatively light midfield, which is not a problem, but
Mm.
it's obviously not what Arteta appreciates. It seems.
Yeah.
It seems like he's aligned to destroyers,
Mm.
at least being part of like at least half of that not half,
Mm.
2/3 of that midfield trio.
Mm.
And if Sesko hits the ground running,
Mm.
then it's going to be what, three players fighting
Mm.
for that, right eight.
Mm.
Um, sorry, left eight, right eight,
Oh yeah.
left eight.
Yes.
It's left eight. It's left eight.
Yeah. I got them the wrong way around. But
Yeah.
yeah. The left eight. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah.
I think we stack there. Honestly,
Yeah.
I
Okay.
so, like it would be great to get an Eze, but then we're
Well,
gonna. I know it's not my problem, but then we're gonna have.
yeah. You'd have to put Rice then at CDM because again, Zubimendi's great. I think he's a great, not quite a playmaker, but distributor and controller of the game, or dictator, director of the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. If a bit lightweight, so it'll be interesting. It's really this is our midfield could be so many different things depending on who we bring in and
Yeah.
how you rotate it round. But and so that would be somewhere looking at, say, yeah, if we do bring in another midfielder, what type, where they go, and stuff like that. So that's going to be really interesting next year. I think the front three, it's very easy to see what you have depending on who you've got. But someone tall in the middle, fast people on the right, just attack more, shoot more, create more chances, score goals. The midfield and the defense is fairly settled, irrespective of who's there. That midfield, that's the area
Mm.
that will really that will change our, how would you say, our tactical approach to games. And it'll be interesting to see because, as I said, Kai Havertz may go back there into the left eight. What does that do to Declan Rice? Now again, we've got to sit players down. We've got to rest them. We're going to have so many games. So yeah, I think that's going to be really, really interesting next year. And then we look at our forward line. So if we look down the middle, again, this is where we are massively light. I've got Kai Havertz. I've put Gabriel Jesus, but he's not going to be back until November. And again, two major injuries,
Mm-hmm.
back off an ACL. How quickly can he be? I put Mikel Merino. I'm not too sure if I was doing that tongue in cheek or not, but he can
No,
do a job if we have to. He can do it. He can do a job.
you do it.
But that's it. I've got here Sesko in grey ? Because we haven't signed him, but that's what we want. But yeah, my God, when you look at that, we need a centre forward
Yeah,
so bad.
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there's not much to add on that, and it feels like Arteta has wanted one,
Yeah.
and it seems like he's been, kind of playing a political game with his bosses.
Mm.
So you'd hope. I mean, we know that he sees this as a problem. So let's hope that we wrap up Cisco as soon as possible.
Yeah, indeed. And then on the right side, we've got Bukayo, Ethan as the sort of understudy. And then we got the likes of Martinelli. I should have put Trossard as well. Martinelli, Trossard, Jesus. And they've even put Reece Nelson in there because he's our player back from loan. But I think Chelsea are trying. Not Chelsea. Oh, he's a winger. Chelsea, of course, are in for him. Fulham are, I think, looking to put together some sort of package. So again, he's one that whatever money we can get for him, thank you, good luck. But again, so we keep Martinelli, and if we were to get Rodrygo, or when we get Rodrygo,
Yeah.
so he can play right side. So I think we have good options, good options there. And then on the left, again, Martinelli, Trossard, Jesus, Nelson, and again Rodrygo. So again, if we have Martinelli, Trossard, and Rodrygo, that's a great, and across the forward line,
Hmm.
we've got options. I think Rodrygo can play up front. We saw Martinelli towards the end of the season playing a bit down the middle.
Hmm.
We get Sesko with his height. That's a great attacking force. But at the moment, we have to do the business, and the business isn't being done. So at the moment, it's looking a bit like 2024, 25. Like, yeah. So I think we got hope, but it is dependent on doing the business. I mean, and in terms of numbers, Arteta said like needs a big squad. We've got about how should we say, 25, 26,
Yeah,
and this isn't without, this is including Dowman, including Nelson,
yeah,
including Tomiyasu and Gabriel Jesus. So if you were to take those out, that's all of a sudden down to 22.
yeah,
We're going to be selling, hopefully, Zinchenko, Party. So then all of a sudden that's down to 20. So yeah, you can see we need those reinforcements, because again, he was saying last year, yeah, we have numbers, but we're having youth team players on the
hmm
on the bench. No, so if we're serious about winning the big trophies, then we've got to yeah, got to supplement it. And I said, if we did a summer of Kepa, Guehi, Zubimendi, Rodrygo, Sesko, plus A&A youth development in midfield, I think we'd
yeah.
all be pretty happy.
I won't be mad at that. I won't be mad at that. And
I'd sign up for it.
you'd hope that part of the reason why we got someone as experienced as Berta
Mm.
would help us get there. Even if you don't get those exact players, you'd hope that his experience will get us there. This Club World Cup piece of shit is a problem. Like there was a transfer deadline, like counter yesterday, or was it yesterday? Whenever on Sky Sports,
Mm.
like, what the hell?
I
Kind
know.
of throwing a span in the works, but yeah, let's see. Yeah, let's hope. I'll be mad. I'll be very mad the day after it closes if we mess this up, because
Yeah.
yeah, up
Well,
front we need to sort it
it
out.
it's a statement of who we are, and I think we've messed it up for too long. So I think I think they're aware of it. Well, there's the thing: we will find out who we are by the end of this summer. We will find out who we are. I think. One here you go. One question I didn't ask: Martinelli. Would you sell him? Would you again cash in on Martinelli now if an offer came in?
I mean, looking at what you have, looking at what we spoke about now, we remove Martinelli. We now are one short. I mean, okay, if we sell him, then do we replace him? Is the question.
Well, yeah,
And
as well as Rodrygo,
yeah,
as well as Sesko.
and then that's people, adapting to the team, adapting to tactics, and our tactics are thing you need to adapt to those. Um, it would be. I don't think that is a great market opportunity sell for us, simply because it would leave us light. We really should not sell anyone up front besides Reece Nelson now.
Mm,
Let's keep these guys at least for another season, and then start, having those discussions next season when we are ready to, I guess, buy someone else.
mm,
It helps that we're in the Champions League. It helps that we are, pushing record profits. Um, but let's not try rush that whole process. And I don't think his value is where we could, properly, capitalize on right now. It could
yeah,
increase, but I don't think right now it's
yeah.
where we would like it to.
No, no, I'm a big Martinelli fan. Yes, he's dropped off, but yeah, you can't fault his effort. He does so much.
Absolutely.
People maybe get sick of it off the ball, and such a player in our system. Maybe he's just dropped off, and then he'll go again. So let's see. I think this is next season, a massive season for him. Has he found his level, or can he go again, sort of thing. So no, I think the one that we could sell, and you can pick or choose whether you replace him or not, would be Trossard. But other than that, no, I would keep Martinelli around. But again, when we're looking for three forwards, we don't know whether they're saying they're three forwards, but we need to sell one. We haven't
Yeah.
they haven't mentioned that, so we have to see where we land on that. So we have made a couple of sales. Marquinhos, woohoo,
Good job.
going to, I have no idea.
Cruzeiro, I think.
Oh, okay, so he's gone. I think that was 2.5 million. So yeah, you say we're rubbish at selling. We got a couple of million for him, amazing. And Tavares has gone to Lazio, but they're looking to sell him on, and we've got a 40% sell-on clause in
Nice.
there. So that could be a nice bit of money. So that's already 10 million in the bank to play for Rodrygo's right foot. So let's see if we can buy the rest of him. Um, and there we go. So yeah, I think we have a good base. We have quality there, but we need to supplement it, and we can't have a season like last season. So I think think let's see what happens. But let's keep calm, tranquilo, as they say, calma, and watch this space. And there we go. Okay, so thank you, Kuziva, for that. I enjoyed that. I appreciated your time.
Thank you. Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of work to get done. This is the most time I've put into transfer chats over the last like a month and a half. So
Okay.
it's been stressful.
Well, we'll revisit when we get to transfer deadline day and 1 minute past 7 when everyone's when everyone's throwing their down in the Emirates with their pitchforks on fire
Oh my God.
and
I'm
asking
on
for
holiday.
and
You need to dial me in. But let me not be angry in the future. I'm not going to be angry in the future.
exactly. There's plenty of time for that. So anyway, thank you for that. Thank you for your thoughts and for your inputs. I enjoyed that. So look, there should be we'll be doing something next week, and over the summer we got our Arsenal in the community pods, trying to line those up. If there's any transfer business or anything interesting happens, then we might jump on. But we'll see. I might even have a holiday or a holiday or so. So let's see what happens. But we'll try and keep at least churning these out, putting in one out a week. So thank you for listening. Thank you if you've made it this far. You can find us on Threads and Bluesky at The Grove AFC. If you like what we do, drop us a note. If you don't, drop us a note. And yeah, you can just find us and subscribe on the usual podcast feeds. And there we go. So for now, it's Berta in. The man with the £1,000 belt, apparently. So
I trust that man.
well, I don't know. I'm trying to question his judgment if you wear a £1,000 belt.
But Sesko already if he was that.
It could be the deal breaker. There you go. I'll give you my belt. There you go. So there we go. So look, thank you, and until the next time, come on, you Gunners.